Okay, so I was working on Batty's Belfryella, and I really didn't like how it was turning out. So I packed it all up, and we're going to try again. So, as you can see, we have a completely empty zone right here. And I played with a few different shapes for the tower, but I ultimately decided that as much as I like the decagon because the circular tiles match it, unfortunately decorating in a decagon, especially when you're trying to do the various sides elaborately, since this is going to be a very gothic tower, not too easy to do. I could have just done one side and then duplicated it around the sides of the tower, but I'll pass. So what I decided instead was an octagon, because each side will either be at at 0, 45, 90, 135, so on and so forth. So it's pretty easy to decorate on since it's, off the cardinal points just by 45 depending on which side you're on. So, let's see now. One of my problems with the previous tower was that there's supposed to be, it was a decagon. My next take on the tower was just a simple octagon, and the problem with that was that there wasn't enough room in the center of the tower for a spiral staircase, which is one of the things that the tower needs. As you can see here, I have all of my various ideas and stuff like that. Basically, when I decorate for someone, I do write up a sort of contract. It saves on any problems that might arise in the future. But for my contract, you can see under house plans here, I said I wanted my center currently at 4390. Actually, it was 391. I did 390 yesterday, and the stuff wound up under the floor in this zone. So, let's start with what I decided to do right before going to bed, so I never actually got started, was to do a, instead of just having one tile per side of the octagon, I would do two tiles lined up with each other. So here, let's just show what I mean really quick. Open my width so that the game knows that I have these items in the crate. Sort by item name. Scroll down and find my fancy fulgurant tiles. I'm going to copy the item ID. Go to Tools, Create Object, Circle or Spiral. We're going to call this Base Octagon. We want our center at 40. And I said 391. Oh, negative 40. Whoops. That would have been a bit of a problem. And 130. Okay. So my total angle, because I'm doing a circle, is 360. My number of steps, because it's an octagon, 8 sides, so 8 steps. My radius, I actually calculated that out before, so for the largest radius, copy this, and actually I don't want it to be just the largest radius by itself, because that would make the tiles go out too far, since the center of the tile is not on the outside edge, it is instead in the center of the tile, and so my tiles for the largest one are, because it's 11 units on each side, a tile's scale is half of its length. So for an 11 unit tile, it's 5.5 for the scale. So that is going to be my radius. And I went through all that effort to copy the item ID, and I forgot to paste it. Oops. You probably couldn't see half of what I was doing there, could you? Because I had it off the screen. Anyways, so now it's on the screen, so let's see, paste the item ID here. And because this is evil, we're going to just say fancy. There we go. I know from prior attempts that I want my pitch to be 1, my rotate to be -90, and my item scale to be 5.5. Create. Save group. Save the working group. Go to the game. Load it in game. And there's my very pretty floor with a decent sized hole here, but as I make each successive floor, the hole gets smaller and smaller, and by the time you got to the top floor, there was absolutely no way that you could fit a spiral staircase in there. So this is what it looks like with just one tile. So now I want 2 tiles here. So half the size. We're going to start with the north because that's easy. So let's width, oops, back in moving crate, out, go back to the layout editor, oops, main, click diff, run. So there's my tile, the 5.5. We're going to duplicate this. And we're going to set the scale to half of 5.5 is not 2.25, it's 2.75, unless I completely screwed up my math there. This is why I always keep a calculator open, because give me calculus and I can do it. Give me simple math and I have no idea what I'm doing. Yep, 2.75. Okay, so I'm not crazy. Alright, so there's one, and we actually want to move it 2.75 to the north. Let's move it up 1 while we're at it so that we can actually see what's going on. So now it's in line with the outside edge, but it's not actually in line side to side where it needs to be. So let's duplicate, or actually no, we're not going to duplicate it. We're going to set the move amount to 2.75 again, and we're going to move it west. 1 click. Save it, load it in game, and now it's in the correct corner, but as you can see there's an empty spot right here where there should be another tile. So I'm going to go back to my layout editor, I'm going to duplicate that tile, and I'm going to send it, well, it should be 2 clicks to the east, but let me show you what happens with just 1 click. With just 1 click, it overlaps halfway, because the scale of the tile is half of the length or the width or whatever you want to call the sides. So I'm going to go back and do one more click to the east so it's in the correct spot. There we go. Now that's a pretty big hole. That's going to be a little bit too... I'm looking at this and I'm thinking I could just use a single tile for the lower floors, and I'll do this trick for the upper floors because that hole is pretty big. So, alright, let's try this again. So we're just going to completely delete this group because I don't need it. This is the group that, the base of the octagon. So we know that, well, let me put this in my notes so I don't forget. Tools, create object, circle or spiral. I have to remember that the radius was 7.7 whatever, so let's paste it right here in my notes. According to my other calculations, this is the radius prior to subtracting the tile's length. So for a 9 unit wide object, it would be 4.5. So this is actually the amount that I want to do for this next octagon. So this is floor 2. And it needs to be up 16, and I actually have no idea off the top of my head what 16 plus 391 is, so let's math it. 391 plus 16, 407. Alright, so, whoops, forgot. We need to replace this with 4.5 for the item scale. Now we say create, save group, load working. Still big enough. Alright, so that's a good sign. Alright, so we're going to go back to the notes page. And I did these calculations yesterday, so I don't have to worry about them so much. And we know that a 7 unit width for the, or not width, but 7 units for the length of one side of the octagon means that the tile that's creating it is 3.5. I think we're noticing a trend here. 5.5, 4.5, 3.5. Okay. Tools, create object, circle or spiral. Place our radius with 4.94 whatever. 407 plus 16 because I'm too lazy to do it in my head. 423. And I have to change the scale to 3.5. Alright, so we will change the name of the group, otherwise it won't be happy. Create, oh, group name already exists. Apparently I had a bunch of groups from yesterday that I don't need. So let me get rid of those. Alright, so these are the ones I've been working with today. So now we're on floor 3. Create. Save group. Go back to the game. Load working. Huh, maybe I won't have to do the weird trick with the 2 tiles after all. This is going pretty well, all things considered. That's always a nice thing to find out. Okay, so Thing is that we have 5 floors and we're only on floor 3. So let's go to floor 4. Tools, create object, circular spiral. Where's my calculator? 423 plus 16 is 439. Apparently I don't know how to... Oh shoot. Just realized my game is not actually showing you what I'm doing in this box because I changed how it worked. Okay, so 439. And my radius is 6 point something minus 2.5. Oh shoot. Okay. I didn't actually take my notes for the 3rd floor, but that's okay. Oh, it's right here. So copy this, paste it into my notes just so I have it on hand in case something horrible happens. And I'll paste the new one up here, 2.5. This is going to be floor 4. Create. Go back to the layout editor, save group, load working. I must have been really tired yesterday to think the holes weren't large enough. Okay. One last floor to go. This floor. And we say subtract 1.5 because that's going to be the scale of the tiles. Tools, create object, circular spiral. Where did my circular spiral thing go? There it is. Paste it right here. Let's paste it in my notes too. 439 plus 16, 455. This should be 1.5 because I'm setting the scale, and this is the 5th floor. Create, go back to the layout editor. As you can see, we're on group 5, and aha, that one's way too small. That explains it. Alright, so this one I actually don't like how small this floor is. This is way too small. I'm going to have to think about this because the others are fine, but this one is not. I suppose if I get rid of... What if, instead of going up to, or down to 3 units per side, what if I went up to 13 units per side? It's going to be a very large bottom floor. I mean, this one's already pretty big as it is. But, let's see, I really didn't note what room should be which. So let's see. Entryway with trophies should be the bottom floor, so that's floor 1. 2 guest rooms, floor 2. Oops. Sitting room, let's make sitting room floor 3. Actually, let's switch that around. Sitting room should be floor 2. Guest rooms, floor 3. Oops, that's a 4. Study is going to be on the top floor. Okay, so let's move the study down. 4 and 5. Let's put the bathrooms on floor 3. Although, of course, the master bedroom will have a bathroom too, because it's the master bedroom. Study with a great view. I think it's a pretty good view all the way up there, yeah. So make a nice study right here. Alright, so let's go back and pack the upper floor. Oops. There we go. Because that one was too small, but this one is just large enough. Now technically the center staircase is not going to be usable, but because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, I want it to at least look like you could use it, which with the other one, you really couldn't. So the idea here is that you actually enter and exit each floor of the house via the balconies that are going to be around each level. So I think that should be okay. So what I want to do is I want to raise everything up 16. So let's delete this group. We want to rename this. Well, actually, rename this group. We're just going to call it temp for now, without the extra T. Alright, so this floor 4 is actually floor 5. Floor 3 is actually floor 4. So that's a 5. Floor 2 is actually floor 3. And temp, which used to be the base, is actually floor 2. So let's raise floor 5, 16. Load it. Raise floor 4, 16. Load it. Raise floor 3, 16. Load it. And raise floor 2, 16. Load it. Okay, so now that gives us the space to work on floor 1. So we know that the height of the floor, here was at 391. And our radius, well, let's show off regular polygon calc, which is one of my favorite websites. So we have it set to an octagon. We are looking for R right here, the distance from the center to one of the sides. So that's the in radius. And what we do know is the length of one of the sides. We know that because of the scale that we're setting our tile 2, which is 12 and not 13. I just realized because tiles only go up to scale 6, which is 12. Okay. That's, you know what, that's actually not a problem. I originally did odd numbers because of how I was doing the windows, but I decided yesterday that I wanted to do the windows differently. So, we can set A, which is the length of one side, to, oops, that's a 13, not a 12. 12. units, meters. We don't really care what the units are because honestly, EQ2's units are in, as I remember it, cogs and nuts or something like that. So, okay, significant figures, I want it to be 9. So let's calculate. That gives us right here our little r, which is 14.48 blah blah blah. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go back to my house plans, and I actually numbered these backwards. So let's get rid of all the numbers here so I can redo it in the proper order. So 12 units, R equals, and we know that our scale is 6 units, so where's my calculator? We're going to minus 6. So that's going to be our actual radius for the layout editor. And then we wanted 11 up here. Oops. And then 9 right there. 7 right there. And as you can see, my 3-unit one has a lot of notes because, oh, wall set to scale 1. I thought I changed that to scale 2. I will have to play with that later. Anyway, so this is floor 1. This is floor 2. This is floor 3. Sorry to any Europeans here. Yes, the ground floor is floor 1, not the ground floor. You'll just have to live with that. Oh, I got rid of this. Alright, so we don't care about this. Okay. Alright, so these are all my notes for now that they've been modified a little bit. Alright, so we're going to go back to the create object circular spiral, and we're going to paste in the radius from floor 1. And we need to set this to 6. And our floor name is floor 1. Create. Save group. And load working. There we go. So there are my various floors. It's going to be a very tall tower because we don't even, oh, we need the roof for, oh, we'll worry about that later. Okay. So the start of the tower. We're going to need windows and doors in here. I actually don't have the supplies for that right now. So now that I have the tower base set up, I should probably stop streaming and actually go make some items and plan a little more. I know what I want to do for the windows for the first floor, but I actually want to do something different for the windows for the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th floors. And in addition to all of that, I need to figure out how to do Gothic edging with my various rails and things like that. So, that's the start of the tiered tower with the floors. I'm decently happy with how this turned out. I kind of like how the floor design is right now. Batty is supposed to be a very girly yet gothic character, so the little flowery floor I think really suits that. We'll have to see what else I can come up with to make this both creepy and girly at the same time. Anyway, thanks for watching. I need to do a little more experimenting with various windows and things before I really get started on this. I have a lot of plans in mind, but unfortunately, plans don't always work out. So we'll have to see what works and what doesn't. Thanks for watching, and hopefully you weren't too bored and you learned something new about the circle tool and about how to calculate for the circle tool. Not that I explained it very well since I was in the process of decorating, not running a tutorial, but you know, hopefully just watching the repetition worked. Alright, I will see you all next time I start a stream, which may be later tonight or this weekend, who knows, because the expansion's coming out tomorrow and I kind of want to do a little bit of that. Thanks for watching.